Hey everyone, this is Nakshan, and welcome to the Scatter Hoard, where we try to put complicated ideas in a nutshell. So, I was walking in the park a few weeks ago and passed by a large placard pasted onto an electrical box. It read, "You are standing on stolen ground." But someone had crossed out the word stolen and replaced it with conquered. So now it read, "You are standing on conquered ground." I took a step back and thought, wow, that pretty much sums up the entire culture war right there. The culture war is the battle between competing worldviews to determine the American paradigm, answering the question, who are we? On one side stand the traditionalists, who seek to continue the narrative of conservative social values, belief that hard work leads inevitably to reward, continued extraction of resources from natural environments, use of traditional vocabulary and expressions, the natural right of the most fit to lead the nation. On the other side stand the disruptors, who seek to change the narrative so it will now broaden what is considered acceptable and healthy social behavior, call out historical injustices that created an uneven playing field, work toward a sustainable relationship with the natural environment, increase the use of non-hurtful language, select leadership that reflects the demographic makeup of society. And now, the term woke has suddenly entered the fray and blown up into a focal point of contention, but is hardly ever defined by the people throwing it around and is used in whatever way suits them. So, why don't we dive into the term and see what it's really about? Obviously, woke means awake, not sleeping or dreaming, fully conscious and aware of what's going on around us, what preceded it, and what's likely to follow. It's about free will and intentionality, choosing our course based on an honest assessment of all the available facts. Using the term broadly, then, individuals on both sides of the debate may be called woke if they fit these criteria. But that doesn't make any sense, you might object. The disruptors are the woke ones, not the other side. True, that's how the term is used conventionally, but many engaged in this fight on both sides are caught up in dreams of unilateral righteousness that conveniently airbrush the flaws of their own perspectives. Let me explain what I mean by this. In the traditionalist narrative, this country was founded through the efforts of plucky immigrants who overcame incredible odds to create the greatest nation on earth. They overcame a hostile colonial government, hostile natives, and an unforgiving, hostile environment that was not suitable for civilization until they arrived and took the axe to it. America is a beacon that shines a light on what a country should be and has become a model that other nations try to emulate. From this perspective, the country was conquered, not stolen. They won it fair and square using many methods, including warfare, which is a tool that all humans, including the Native Americans, have used throughout our history as a species. Alongside this story is another traditional narrative they use to define America. This one highlights the declared right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Democratic principles that created representative government, respect for human rights and the dignity of the person that transcends the brutish law of the jungle, which is a principle we have fought for and died for overseas. That we are an enlightened people founded on compassionate Judeo-Christian morality. Only a deluded person caught up in the dream of unilateral righteousness cannot see the friction between this second story and the reality of the first one. That the birth of a nation which is a beacon to the world also included chattel slavery and genocide, along with too many other atrocities to describe here. The disruptors are more than ready to point out this contradiction and condemn the traditionalists as fascists who use power and control to maintain their privilege over marginalized and victimized people and communities. They promote ideas like equity and inclusiveness. They seek to dismantle the historical power structures that maintain the status quo of white domination. They want to rewrite the narrative in a way that portrays a more representative and inclusive version of what it means to be an American. Those pushing for social change include some of the most incredible people around. They're passionate because they've often experienced the individual and communal trauma connected to the history of this country. And yet, many in this camp are also blind to their own contradictions. Just being in a marginalized group doesn't automatically make a person fundamentally different, any better or worse than anyone else. People are people, and the same tendencies that drove the original white settlers can be found in peoples all over the globe. And they can be found in the disruptors themselves, who sometimes operate in the same manner as those they're trying to knock down. The recent example of Los Angeles minority politicians caught on tape using racist slurs against people of another minority group is an example of this. Their demeaning language showed that this group of powerful people believed they were naturally superior to another. This is an extreme example, but because people are people and nobody's perfect, it's certain that there are other individuals within the disruptor community who hold less than enlightened views about other groups. Beyond the personal level, organizations fighting to disrupt the current power structures often play by the same old tired rules of the establishment, operating within rigid hierarchical organizational frameworks, traditional lines of communication, internal politics driven by power differentials, and confrontational external tactics. History has shown that too many revolutions just replace old oppressors with new ones because everyone is playing the same game. The debate on what it means to be an American is an old one, and is not likely to end anytime soon. Conservative traditionalist groups are not disappearing, and the same can be said about the progressive disruptors. The dialectic between these two poles is actually a healthy thing, as long as both sides remain truly woke, examining their worldviews with wide-awake awareness of all the aspects of their positions. This would allow the traditionalists to see that their second narrative of America as a champion of human rights, and this might come as a shock to them, actually aligns pretty well with the disruptors' main goals. And if they can see this, it will help them recognize that there are very intelligent people on the other side of the debate. It's an ideal that we're still far away from, but perhaps working together we may be able to bring it a little bit closer to reality. And the disruptors must be willing to recognize that inequitable and non-inclusive traits can find their way into their own organizations, and even into their own hearts. So there's no need to stand in righteous judgment over others who, at a fundamental level, may not be that different from who they are. Being realistic about this fact will spur on more effective guardrails that keep them moving in the right direction. Now, this is the kind of woke debate that might actually get somewhere. We'll see you next time.